everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Spokane, Washington. Come to you every week, every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Usually I have 3 cards or projects for you. Tonight I've only got 2. But yeah, I'm excited to share with you what I have and show you some stuff in our new catalog. I'm very excited about that. I'm excited to start stocking up on some of those things. While we're talking here, I'm going to get my computer going, make sure that I can see everything on my monitor so that I can see your comments. While we're talking about comments, I just want to remind you, I love it when you participate in the conversation. Whether you are just chime in and say hi and tell me where you're from. You know, I'd love to hear where everybody's from. Or even, like I said, participate in the conversation, talk to one another, ask questions, offer suggestions, any of the above. And this does not just pertain to people watching live. Even if you're watching the replay, make sure to type in, tell me hello and where you're from. Every week I offer a prize for the people who participated in the previous week's conversation. So definitely make sure you get in on that. I do a drawing right before I go live, and I award that prize when we go live a little bit later. So make sure that you get yourself eligible for the prize. So it looks like I am up on the big screen. So Kathy's here. Both Kathys are here. Welcome, welcome. So I'm trying to think if I've got any good Lucy stories for you this week. But you know, to be honest, oh my goodness, I'm just looking at my screen and just realizing how bad the mountain of boxes behind me is getting. That's really bad. That's really embarrassing. I need to get to the dump so that I can, the landfill, so that I can get rid of those. That's pretty bad. Anyway, I don't really have any good Lucy stories this week. I don't think. She's behaved, you know, somewhat like a normal dog, which, as you guys know, is not normal for her. But maybe she'll do something tonight. But for the time being, she's actually behaving quite normally. So let's see here. Who else has joined us? Susan's joined us. Joyce has. Judy has. Welcome, all of you. So I told you the new catalog's out. Went live on May 1st, Monday. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it yet. But if you don't have another demonstrator that you already work with and you would like me to send you a copy of the new catalog, please be sure to send me a message. Either email me at stamphappenings@gmail.com, and you'll see that on the screen in a little bit. Or you can send me a message here, a private message here on Facebook, and just let me know your mailing address, and I'd be happy to pop one in the mail to you. But there's some fun stuff in it. You know, not every catalog is going to be a winner in everybody's eyes. You know, there's going to be things you like, there's going to be things you don't like quite as well, and that's just, you know, that's just the nature of things. That's the way it always is, right? I have to say that this year's annual catalog is my favorite in the last few years. I really like floral stuff, but when it comes to stamps and cards and things like that, I find myself gravitating more toward the cute animals, fun, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of really adorable sets in this year's catalog. So I'm so excited to start building up my supply of some of those and being able to create some things for you guys, because it's just fun stuff. Like I said, this catalog is my favorite so far in the last few years. Not that I haven't liked the previous catalogs, don't get me wrong, because there's always amazing stuff in all of them. But this year really calls me. This one really calls to me. So, you know, one thing I can tell you about, I'm kind of excited that happened this week. As you can imagine, I have an extra card or 2 lying around my house because, you know, I make a few, and I don't always have as many occasions to use them as I have cards, right? So I started watching TikTok. It's so funny. Gosh, probably about 6 months ago, my boss was like, oh, you have to start watching it. There's so many good little videos on there, and you're just going to love it. And I hadn't ever even looked at it before. So I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. Well, of course, I have to tell you, TikTok is the biggest time waster in the whole wide world. It's so dangerous because I'll get on there, I'll lay in bed and just get on there for a little bit, And before I know it, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. It's just addictive. It's horrible. Anyway, there's a gal that I follow, and her husband's in the military. They're stationed in Hawaii. And she does this thing where she has said anybody who writes to her, she will write back to them. So she has over 3,000 pen pals. So people send her, you know, stationery now and then, and pens and stamps and things like that. And I thought, you know what, I have all these extra cards. I'm gonna box up a bunch of them and just send them to her, right? So I boxed up 150 cards. All of them were like either no sentiment or hello or thinking of you. So there was no, there were some thank you ones too, but no like happy birthday or anything. I wanted them to be generic enough for her to be able to send to any of her pen pals. And I just boxed them up and sent them to her, didn't think anything of it. This morning, I'm scrolling through TikTok, and she went on, and at the very beginning of her post, she'd received a few gifts in the mail from people, and so she was going through and thanking everybody. The first one she did was mine, and she like held up one of the cards that I made and said, Heather in Washington sent me this huge box of cards for my pen pals. They're all handmade, and you guys have to look at these. Look at the quality. Look how great they are. They're really amazing, and that made me feel so good. So that was really awesome. That was a great way to start my day. So, hey Nancy, welcome. So, see, Joyce is a TikTok fan too. It's addictive, isn't it? And you know, as with, hey Marsha, welcome. As with anything on the internet, there's good and there's bad, right? And you know, there's going to be the people who are like, oh, it's horrible because there's, you know, all this content out there about this topic or that topic or whatever. I have the mindset, if I don't like it, I just scroll past it. It's not a big deal. And the people that I really like their content, I follow them, so I see more of that. So it's not a big deal to me. I love social media. Again, you know, there's good and bad with everything, and you just choose to either get sucked into the stuff that really upsets you and get more and more upset about it, or you get sucked into the stuff that you enjoy, and that's what I do. Anyway, off my soapbox for that. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I want to show you just a little. All right, hang on. Let's turn it around. Okay, get my finger out of the way there. Get everything lined up, because you know, if it's not perfectly straight, I sit here and I have to fiddle with it for an hour, right? Okay, so that's a start, right? That's a start. Okay, so look at this beautiful catalog. Beautiful. So here's my little marker of where I just thumbing through it and things that I've liked so far. But you guys, look at these monkeys. Aren't they adorable? Now, I have ordered several products. You know, there was a color refresh. Oh, I misunderstood Joyce. Sorry. Joyce loves the new catalog, but she won't go near TikTok. She has too much to do. And you know, that makes sense because, like I said, it is a time sucker. Anyway, I ordered a bunch of new stuff, but stuff is a little backed up. It's Stampin' Up right now, as you can imagine, because everybody's in love with the new catalog. So I haven't gotten mine yet, which is why I'm not really using new products tonight. But look at these monkeys. Aren't they adorable? And then there's also this suite of products that I want to show you guys, because I'm going to offer another online class, kind of like the kit class that I did not that long ago. Let me see if I can find what page it's on. But I'm going to do the class with this kit, this suite of products. There you go. See a bunch of our new colors, all sorts of just beautiful, beautiful stuff. Hold on here. I'm trying to find, I thought there's a page that tells us where all the new suites are, because this is a suite of products, and
I want to show you what I'm going to be doing with this class. Now, I haven't figured out yet what I'm charging or when exactly it's going to be, but you heard it here first. So let's see. Let's see if this is it. Page 47. It is. Okay. So it's the Zoo Crew collection. And it comes with this adorable, let's see if I can put this up for you guys to see it well, this adorable designer series paper. And I love this little skunk right here. I think the skunk might be one of my favorites. I mean, look at him. Isn't he adorable? And then there in the stamps, look at this turtle. He's singing. Look at his little lips sticking out. Is that not just adorable? And then, oh, Kathy, thank you. I knew there was a page somewhere that says all the different suites in the catalog. But anyway, this is just an amazing suite of products. There's the dies, there's the stamps, and here's some samples of things that they've done with this amazing suite. So be watching for some information about this class that I'm going to be offering. And of course, we've talked about all the new colors, all the new in colors that are coming out. Let me show you here. I showed you guys all the new colors last week, except the in colors. This isn't the biggest way to show you because, again, I've ordered mine. I just haven't gotten them yet. But these 5 colors right here. Hey, John, welcome. Hey, Colleen. These 5 colors are our new in colors this year. You've got Copper Clay, Wild Wheat, Boho Blue, Moody Mauve, and Pebbled Path. And they all kind of have that grayish sort of tone behind them. They're all in that family. And I really like them, actually. I'm kind of excited to play with them and see what kind of trouble I can stir up with them. So there's your sneak peek at a few of these items. Some great stuff. So again, if you don't have a demonstrator that you already work with and you would like a copy of this beautiful, beautiful catalog, let me know. I am happy to send you one. Okay, so this week's prize is a pack of designer series paper. There's air in the bag here. Designer series paper. This was part of our hostess pack last year that you could earn as a hostess gift. I'm going to open it just to get some of this air out. And I have also included some of our pool party grow grain ribbon and then some sequins that also coordinate with the pack. And this week's winner is Susan Goodman. So congratulations, Susan. I do have your mailing address, so you don't have to send me anything. And I will get this popped in the mail to you. So congratulations, Susan. All right. Oh, no, I'm crooked again, you guys. You know I can't handle that. Let's see. Oh, now I'm going the other way. Okay. All right. We're good for the time being. All right. So for our first card, we're going to be using the In the Moment stamps. I have not used these in a while, and I really like stamps like this because they're just these simple sketches, and I think they're beautiful. Stampin' Up! Has some artists that just do some amazing work in this kind of sketch design, and so we're going to use this stamp set. We're also going to use the Artistic Mix masks. In the new catalog, there's a new set of masks that are available, but they did keep these in the line of products. So there's 2 sets available now. There's this one and then the new one as well. And of course, we're going to use our watercolor pencils. They did repackage the watercolor pencils because I have the 2 different sets that we were carrying. And some of them are colors that have now retired. And so they've repackaged them, probably taking out some of those discontinued colors and maybe even adding in some of the new ones. I haven't seen them myself, but they are still available in the new catalog, watercolor pencils anyway, maybe just a little bit different color setup. And the card we're going to make is this one right here. Just simple one with a gal and her dog reading a book. So let's go ahead and get ourselves started. Our card base is your standard card base, 8.5 inches wide, 5.5 inches tall, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And this color is the Orchid Oasis. And that is one of the in colors that came out last year. Our in colors last for 2 years before they retire them. So every year there's a new set of colors and then a returning set. And this is part of the returning set of colors. Now let's go ahead and do all the stuff that requires our mask first. So let's see, I have a piece of basic white that is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I also have this piece right here. This is another one of the Orchid Oasis, and I cut it, let me see here. Okay, so I cut this to be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. You know, when I do my layering, my white piece is usually 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. That's what I did with this piece right here. Cut it that size, but then I just cut it on the diagonal. So that's how I got this piece of this size. And then of course we have our envelope. So we'll pull out the mask. I really do like using the masks. I don't do them very often, but there sure is a lot that you can do with them. I do like to tape mine down to tape it in place, or else they kind of wiggle all over. So I line mine up with my grid paper. That way I know that it's straight-ish. You know, everything I do is ish, nothing's exact. Okay, so I'm gonna put that right there. And I'm just gonna start with my piece right here. I don't like how it has that little lip from where I cut it, so I'm just gonna flatten that back out with my bone folder. Okay, and I'm going to take my adhesive. I'm gonna put just a tiny little bit of adhesive on the back. Just like that. See, you can see there's just a tiny little bit, but it holds my paper in place so it doesn't wiggle all over. And then again, I'm going to line it up with the grid lines on my paper just to make sure that it is straight also. I've got my Orchid Oasis ink and one of my handy dandy little blending brushes. I was like, what are they called? I can't think of it. So I'm inking it up, and then I'm just going to go over it really well. Re-ink as needed. You can already see, I don't know how well you can see it actually on the video, but when you're doing this, you can see how well it's darkening up that blue already. And I'm just doing, for the most part, doing little circles, but where I want it to be a little darker, I kind of rub just a little bit, but I don't want to do a bunch of damage to my brushes, so I try not to do that scraping back and forth a whole lot. I don't know if it'll damage the brushes, but I don't know. I just assume it would, and so I try to be careful. Okay, I think this will be the last bit of ink we need to put on this. Then I'm going to lift it up. Look at that. Is that gorgeous or what? So I'm just going to lift that up, set it aside for now. And then I'm going to take my white piece that I have here. Again, I'm going to put a tiny bit of adhesive on the back so that it stays in place. And line it up with grid marks, grid lines, whatever you want to call them. And I just want to do a little bit in the corner there. So I'm just going to kind of go like this. And I don't even care if it makes it perfectly straight or if it's a little jagged, whatever. If it's light in some places and dark in others, I'm okay with that. See? Like that. Now I'm going to take that off, move it aside. Now we're going to do the envelope. It is important that you remember to put a piece of scrap paper between the flap and the envelope itself to make sure that you don't end up inking all over over the rest of the envelope, or you didn't really intend to get ink. Now, I didn't put adhesive on the back of my envelope like I did with the other pieces, so you want to be a little bit careful here, just to make sure that it doesn't slide all over, because that kind of happened to me a little bit last night, and I was able to save it. It wasn't a huge deal, but it did remind me that I had to be careful and watch for that. So again, I'm just doing circles all over it. I really like these masks. Every time I use them, I'm like, why don't I use these more often? Because you can use the embossing paste with them, which you've seen me do before. You can use ink like this. There's just a ton of things that you can do with these masks. They're not very expensive. I want to say they're like $7, and you get like 4 in a pack. I just totally stuck my finger in the ink. But they're fun patterns and easy to work with. So just a reminder that these are out there. This is getting nice and dark. Okay, I think we're going to call it good there. I've got I'm going to show you how I clean. Oh, this isn't very wet. I forgot to get it wet before I went live. That's okay. So, ooh, look at that bold color. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so now let me show you how I clean my masks. I'm going to take it off of here, and I'm going to take the tape off. Now, you know, I keep my, this is my Stampin' Chamois. I use this to clean my stamps, and you can see it is very well loved. And even though it's all yucky with ink, it still cleans really, really well. The masks are $10. Thank you, Marcia. Susan says she's in the same boat. She loves them when she uses them, but she forgets about them and doesn't use them. Okay, so I keep my chamois in this little case, which Stampin' Up! Does sell the little stamp cases by themselves, and I have a few of them hanging around. And so I keep my chamois in there. When I go to clean this, I set my mask in the case, and then I just go like this. Gets it nice and clean. Now I doubt there's any ink on the back, but just to be on the safe side, I do flip it over and kind of wipe off the back as well. And then put it away in its case for next time. So there you have it, folks. Easy peasy. So now let's go ahead and set that aside. While I have my ink out, let's go ahead and stamp. I've got a, I'm going to do a banner here. I should have die cut my banner ahead of time, and I didn't even think about it. Both cards tonight are using the Stylish Shapes dies. So I'm going to use this banner for this card. Right there. And you know, when I was making this last night, it took me forever because I kept stamping my sentiment crooked. So what I'm going to try tonight is I'm going to try stamping it first, and then I'm going to use my die. I'll position my die around it and then cut it out. So put my sentiment right there. Oh, see, it's already crooked. Flip it over, this amazing paper with 2 sides. Okay. Oh, what is my issue? Hold that thought, please. Normally it wouldn't matter if that was crooked, because then I could just put my die over it. But because it was so narrow, I knew that there wasn't going to be, width-wise, there wasn't going to be room for me to kind of put my die on there crooked to accommodate the crookedness of my stamp. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, close up my ink pad and get out my handy dandy Post-it tape. This is not a product that Stampin' Up! Sells. I just buy mine off of Amazon. Okay, so now I'm going to line this up so it's in the center and it's straightish. There we go. Do both ends. hold that thought. Get out my little mini cutting and embossing machine. This paper is just barely narrow enough to fit through there, but it works. See this little edge that looks like somebody maybe tried to eat it? Well, yeah, that's what happened. Somebody tried to eat it. You want to guess who? Okay, so fit this through there and just feed it through. If you have a mini trimmer, you know, I have heard, sorry for all the jiggling, I have heard some people say they have a hard time with their mini trimmer. And actually I have found, just as a little tip, it's easier for me if I'm standing up. So even if you sit to stamp, stand up when you use your mini trimmer and it should go a lot easier for you. Joyce asked how I clean my chamois. Very simple answer. I don't. I just rinse mine out like once a week before my lives, get it all nice and wet for the live itself. I rinse it really, really well so that it gets some of the excess ink off, like you see it because the water's tinted whatever color. But that's really all I do. And because you can see it does stain the chamois, obviously. But I just get the excess ink off and that's it. I don't use any soap or anything like that. It's just warm water. Okay, so taking my little tapes off. And there we have our banner with a nice straight sentiment. And then I'm going to put my dies away for the next card. Except for I think it might already be cut out for the next card. All right, so now let's start putting this baby together. Well, I guess we're not quite ready to put it together. I spoke too soon. So now what we're going to do is the stamp I've chosen to use, again, is this one with the gal reading a book, snuggling with her puppy. And I'm going to use my black Memento ink. Ink it up good. And right about the center of the card, I'm going to stamp my image. Just like that. Clean off my stamp. And put away the ink before I do some real damage with it. You're very welcome, Joyce. Okay, so I like to use, oops, I'm falling apart over here, you guys. I like to use my Stampin' Blend color lifter for smoothing around my color when I use my watercolor pencils. You can also use, we have a blending pen. We also have, our aqua painters that are like a paintbrush where you put water in the tip or in the shaft of the pen, and that works as well. I do find that I really, really like using my Stampin' Blend color lifter, though. It doesn't make the paper as wet. Now you'll find mine, I think mine is nearing the end of its useful life. It's lived a very good life, but it might be ready to replace. So I'm trying to clean off my little brush just a little bit before I put it away and get ink all over everything. If I need to, I'll pull out my aqua painters to kind of transfer some of this color around, but we're going to start out with the Stampin' Blend. Okay, so we're going to do some quick coloring here. And, whoa, going crazy with the pens there. So I think I'm going to start with, what color is this? This specific point, I think I used Balmy Blue for her jeans before. There we go. And all I do is I just kind of color where there's shade marks. I color around the edges. I don't color the whole image. And by doing that, it gives me natural shading because it's going to be darker in those spots. I'm not coloring hard. I'm just kind of coloring. And then let's see, for her pillows and her blankie and all that, I started with, this one's Rich Raspberry, so I didn't even pay attention last night to what colors I was using. So this particular color may not be available in the new set since that color was discontinued. So I started out just kind of going around the edges, going on these, what do you call it, the shading marks that the sketch artist provided for us. Okay, there we go. I think, there we go. And then I also added a little bit of pink. This is the Flirty Flamingo. Add a little pink in there. You know I'm a pink girl, and I'm going to add pink where I can. So I think our girl has a very cute puppy and a pink bedroom set. I don't care how old you are, you're never too old for a pink bedroom set. And you can't convince me otherwise. And then I wanted to add just a little bit of blue up here on her pillows. This one is, oh, this is nice and navy. I didn't mean to do one this dark, but that's okay. Just on her pillows and then her bedding down here. And the reason I chose to do that is because you can see she's got a blanket wrapped around her, and I didn't want it to just blend in with the pillows. I wanted there to be a little bit of separation of color. So then I'm going to take my early espresso, and we're going to color our little pooch a little bit here. Get his ears. Look at him. Isn't he cute? And his little body. Okay. And then let's do her hair. Gave her a little bit of brown hair, but then I added a little bit of yellow to it too. You know, every girl needs some pretty highlights, right? And then for her skin tone, what I did is I took the Calypso Coral and I gave her a little bit of skin there, and I gave her some skin on her fingers. And that looks like it's a little bright, like she's kind of maybe a little sunburnt. So I'm going to tone that down with some white. And after we spread the color around, we'll see. And if she still looks sunburnt, then I'll add maybe a little yellow or a little pink. I'm going to make her book yellow. And, you know, who doesn't color coordinate their socks with their books, right? And then, let's see what else. Oh, we need to color her cup. And I noticed there's a little bit of shading right there that we want to do on her book. Or, I mean, not on her book, on her blanket. Let's make her cup. Is this gray? No, that, yeah, that's gray. So we're going to use a little bit of gray on her cup, on her coffee cup. Okay. So, you know, as you can see, I just did some quick sketching. I didn't take a lot of time for precision coloring or anything like that. And actually, you could even leave it like that. That's kind of a cool look by itself, I think. But I'm going to take my Stampin' Blend, and let's start with her socks. Let's use the brush tip. Oh, I should have made sure that didn't have any other color on it first. But you see how it's just pulling that color in really, really nicely. But it does leave the darker edges to give you a little bit of shading. Let's color that little puppy. And in some places I'm doing little circles, and other places I just do straight. All I'm doing is I'm basically kind of scribbling to just get that color drawn in all over the place. Let's get her hair. Okay, let's see the real test here about her skin. Let's color that skin and see. Yeah, she still looks kind of pink, doesn't she? Let's just add a little yellow and see if that makes her look not quite so sunburned. Oh, now it's going to make her look orange, I think. That's not terrible. And then, let's see, let's work on, we'll do her little cup. And finally, we're going to work on her pillows and her blankie. Come down here and try to blend this a little bit. See if I can blend it a little better with my bullet tip. Like I said, I kind of think my pen is ready to retire and, you know, start traveling to visit the grandkids and all that. And maybe I need to get a new one. Now we'll do her blanket. See here. So do remember that if you are going to use your Stampin' Blend color lifter to spread your ink around or your pencils around like that, be sure to use the Memento ink. It is designed to work better with an alcohol-based pen so that it won't smear as bad. If you use our StazOn, it's designed more for water and it smears a little more with the alcohol-based. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so let's do her pants and then I think she's ready to go. Blend a little bit more. See how it leaves just a little bit of dark around the edges so you've got some shading? How easy that was. I'm not a color artist by any stretch, so that gives you an idea of how well those tools actually do the work for you. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start putting our card together. So we have our card base. I do have a piece here. Remember, this is Orchid Oasis. I have a piece of our Starry Night. Both of these are in the same in color family. And then I have this one. So we're going to go ahead and glue these pieces together. Just a tiny little margin. You know how I like my tiny little margins. Just like that. And now I'm going to take this piece that we colored with our mask and I'm going to tear the edge. I call this a guided tear. This is just my own little term. I don't know what the real term would be. I call it a guided tear because I'm tearing kind of against my thumb instead of just pulling it, because then that controls just how wiggly it is. I want it to be a little wiggly, but I don't want to, take big chunks off that I don't mean to take off. So by having my thumb there, I can kind of control that. And we're going to go ahead and glue this on now. One thing I like to do when I have a triangular piece like this that has corners, my adhesive isn't going to fit in those corners very well, but I want to make sure that it sticks down well in those corners. So I'm going to use my liquid glue for this. That way I can get right in those corners. And now I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the rest of it. Not a lot, a little goes a very, very long way with this glue. And I'm going to line it up with the white piece right here. So that little blue margin still shows. There we go. A little bit of glue came out the edges there, and that does happen sometimes. Just take your adhesive eraser and erase it off once it dries. So we've got that part. Let's go ahead and attach this to our card front now. Make sure I've got my card going the right direction. I can't tell you the number of times I haven't paid enough attention and then I put it on the wrong way and the card was upside down. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and glue this piece on. This is going to go on the inside of the card. Line it up to be relatively straight with relatively even margins. And now we're just going to add a few more little pieces. We're going to add that little banner that we die cut if I'm able to pick it up. There we go. And I'm going to use my dimensionals just to pop it up a little bit, making the bold assumption that I can get them out of the bag. Okay, so let's see, I'll put one in the middle and then one on each end. There we go. And throw away my little backs off the dimensionals. And I'm just going to put it right about here so it's centered. I'm going to go horizontally. There we go. Is that straight? Of course it's not straight, Heather. Okay. Nope, now it's weird in the other direction. I need to learn to just let these things go, don't I? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little bow jig. You can find these on Amazon or, wherever. I used to watch another demonstrator's videos, and she had somebody that she knew that made them. I don't even know anymore the name of the person who made them or anything like that. But all it is a piece of wood with some holes drilled into it. Okay. So, now I did find with this ribbon, this is our, let me get the name of it, sorry for sure. Oh, this is a tough one. Metallic woven ribbon. It's about 1/8 of an inch wide, so it's very, very narrow. And this came out last year with our new in colors that came out last year. So this one is, I think this is the Starry Sky one. So I made, oh, you know what I forgot to do though? We're going to do this again because I wanted to tell you one thing about this ribbon. This ribbon is slippery. And I found that when I took it off and I was adjusting my little loops, it started to come untied. So you do want to do like a double knot right there so that doesn't happen. Okay. Put my little tails down and adjust my little loops. You know how I like my triple ribbons? It's got a little bit of body and I just think they're kind of fun. There we go. Now I'm going to take my glue dots and put one right on the back of the knot of the bow. And the glue dot's bigger than the knot, so I'll just kind of fold it down. I'm going to place it right, hold on, right here in the corner. Once I have it down, I'm going to just kind of play with my little loops again and trim my tails. Oh, or throw my scissors, one of the two. There we go, look at that. And then finally, I'm using some of my 2022-2024 in color matte decorative dots. And I've got some here, let's find them, that are the Starry Night. They're a little bit darker. And I'm going to put these on just to add just a little bit more of something on my card. So let's put one right about there. And put a little tiny one right about there. And then we'll put another big one, or just right down here, to draw just to draw the eye down a little bit. You don't even really notice it since it's the same color, but because there's some dimension there, your eye is still drawn to it. So there we go, card number 1. What do you guys think of that? Easy, right? And I'm telling you that Stampin' Blend Color Lifter is amazing. If you have been intrigued by our watercolor pencils, but said, well, I'm not really a watercolor artist. I wouldn't know how to use them. Do you know how to scribble? Perfect. You've got it down. So that's really all there is to it. Okay, so clean up my mess a little bit, and we'll get going on our second card. Again, I apologize that I only have 2 cards for you this week. It's just kind of been a week. And those happen. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use the Artistically Inked bundle. This is one of my favorite sets in the catalog as far as the florals go. I just think it's so beautiful. It's designed to emulate that alcohol ink trend that was popular a couple years ago, and I love it. It's amazing. So we're using the stamps and the dies, and let me show you and we're also using the Stylish Shapes dies that same as we used on the last card. Let me show you what we're going to make, and then I'll tell you what I would have done differently. Okay, so here's the card we're going to make. I was trying to create a style. Ooh, Marcy's here. Apparently Lucy sensed that you arrived, Marcy. Lucy. Now, Kathy says she uses her blender pens with the watercolor pencils, and I bet that creates some really good different dimension of color, so that's great. Okay, so anyway, the idea of this card, as you will see, is to make it look like, Lucy, like you've popped this piece right out of the color. It lines up, or the piece that you've already stamped, it lines up perfectly, and it looks really cool. But I think these margins are just way too big. That is one thing that I don't care for about these dies. As far as nesting, you end up with this huge mat, and I don't like the mat that thick. And I found it did kind of detract from this look a little bit. So if I were going to do this again, instead of doing circles, what I would do is I would do the squares, and then I could use my trimmer to make the mats the size that I want them. So, or other way around, use them for the mat, so you've got the little stitched look around the edge there. Just depends on, do you want that stitched look on the stamped image, or do you want it on your mat? Either way, but I would do squares, because then I could use my trimmer to make sure that the mat is a lot smaller. But let's show you how to make this card. Okay, and here's the envelope. And let's see here. Oh, that's the inside. Pretty simple. So, that's a good question, Marcy. Marcy said she wonders if the circles in the astronaut set nest better. I don't know. And that's one reason why I often used my layering circles instead of these, because if I did the little wavy scalloped circle, the mat was much, much smaller, and I liked that better. But those have been retired, so we move on and we find other ways to do things. So, okay, so basic card base, 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, scored you-know-where at 4 1/4. Okay, so, by the way, if you are someone who likes to watch videos on YouTube, my friend Marcy Rogers, who just joined us, she did a video earlier today where she used the Zoo Crew suite of products that I was talking about earlier that I'm going to offer a class with. She made some adorable cards, so go watch her on YouTube and see her video to see her amazing cards that she made. Okay, so we're going to do some stamping first here. So I've got 2 pieces of basic white. I've got one that is 4 1/4 I'm sorry, it's 4 by 5 1/4. I have one that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then I have my envelope, and we're going to stamp all of these, right? So let me move some stuff out of the way because I'm going to take up some room here. First, I'm getting out my Flirty Flamingo. Okay, I got to move some stuff. I need a bigger desk. That's what I need. Okay, so Flirty Flamingo and Melon Mambo. Did you hear that, you guys? I got the name of it right. I always want to call it something else, and I got it right. Melon Mambo. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is, this is the main flower that we're going to use. And I'm also going to use my little sponge dauber. You guys, these sponge daubers are amazing. You absolutely cannot live without them. You get a pack of 5 of them for $5. So totally cheap. And again, tons and tons of things that you can do with them. So definitely not a waste of your money. Okay, so first I'm going to ink up my stamp using the Flirty Flamingo. Then I'm going to take my sponge dauber. Just put your finger in there as if it were an Olive at Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm just going to go around the edge here. And in some areas, I'm going to get a little bit more than others, not on purpose, but because I'm just kind of hurrying through. But that is the desired effect, so it's okay. Now on the bigger one, I'm just going to do it down here in this corner. Am I off the screen? I'm off the screen. Okay, there we go. There we go. So you can see how it's got the color variant there. I love that. Okay, next we're going to do it on that flower on this piece. So again, ink it up with our Flirty Flamingo. Take our Thanksgiving olive. Go around the edges. And we're just going to stamp this a few times. And as you can see, I'm not cleaning my stamp between uses, but I do kind of squish it around a little bit on my paper just to get some of that extra ink off. So if there's still some of that darker pink on it, I don't have to worry about getting it on my Flirty Flamingo ink pad. Again, this doesn't take a lot of time because I'm intentionally doing it quick. I do want to get one more on there just to balance it a little bit, I think. Let's just get the very edge right there. Right there. Now, move that one out of the way, and now we're going to do the envelope. Again, take your scrap paper. You can see mine is so well loved. Okay, and we're going to put a few on the envelope as well. Oh, did you see what I just did? Oh, Heather. Okay. Your musical interlude for the evening. Oh my goodness, you guys, I have to tell you what I did to my son. Okay, so my son is weird. He is 23, and he might think he's still 12, which is okay because, his mother sometimes thinks she's still 12. So, and he and I have like the exact same sense of humor. It's really dangerous to have us together. His brother and his sister used to always say, you guys are the exact same person, and it's really annoying. Fair enough. So anyway, he's been doing this weird thing where, I hope this doesn't offend anybody, I keep finding the word butts written everywhere. Yes, butts, like your rear end, but multiples of them. I keep finding butts written everywhere. Well, the other night, I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I come back to my room, shut my door, and notice he's taped a big piece of paper to the inside of my door that simply says butts. Come to find out, he had done that like earlier in the day, and I didn't even notice it earlier in the evening. So I've been trying to think, what can I do to kind of get back at him? Just, being silly. So I went on Amazon and I bought 7-inch around googly eyes. I mean, seriously, googly eyes that are like this big. And while he was gone today, because I worked from home today, I taped them up to the inside of his door, and they glow in the dark. So if he's not paying attention and he doesn't notice until nighttime, all of a sudden he's going to look up and these eyeballs are going to be glowing in the dark on his door. I can't wait. But even if he notices them before they glow, I can't wait. I cannot wait for his reaction. And if he's noticed them already because he got home just a little bit ago while I was doing my live, I know he would not come out here and say something while I'm doing my live. And it's just killing me to not know if he's noticed it yet. Okay, so we're done with that stamp, but now we're going to take, whoops, I have a couple more that I'm going to use on here. Now we've got this little one. It's like, I don't know if it's intended to be just like a little flower of its own or if it's the center of the flowers, but for our purposes tonight, it's the center of our flowers. Okay, clean that one off. Oops, I got one more here, the one that's on the inside of our card, just like that. And then, let's see, what else have we got? Okay, so now I've got this flower here. This one is really beautiful. If you do what I did with the big flower, where you do one color, a lighter color, and then a darker color just around the edge. But I didn't want to do that again on this card. So I'm just using the Melon Mambo. Look, I did it again. I called it Melon Mambo. And I'm just, filling in some of the empty spots here. Maybe one right there. And I'm not putting one on the inside. Yeah, and I didn't put one on the envelope either. Okay, clean off my little stamp. And last but not least, let's take our garden green and add some leaves to our card. So I just stamped it right there. Maybe put some right there. Maybe a little right there. Doesn't quite line up like I think it should. But that's okay. I'm a survivor. I will survive this. Do I want to put that there? Well, we're just gonna see what happens. Okay, and then I am gonna put just a little bit on the edges here on the inside of my card, just to pull that green out a little bit. There we go. Just, just a little like that. Oh, we need to put some on our envelope too. So, got our envelope back. A little bit there. Maybe put one there. And a little bit over here off the edge. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to show you. Oh, you know what? We're going to stamp one more thing, just because right now we're stamping. Let's get all the stamping done. I do have a little white banner that we're going to stamp thanks on. And I'm going to use my Melon Mambo for that. Center it on here. There we go. Okay. Now, let's just set this aside where I won't lose it. Of course, anything's possible. You never rule out me losing something. Let me grab my my cutting and embossing machine. Have to get the big one for this. Oh, this. I need to dust mine. You'd think I never use it for as dusty as it is, but it gets used all the time. I just have a super duper dusty house. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I want to see if you can see what I'm doing here, and I think you can. Okay, so I've got my little piece of paper here, and I'm using 2 different sizes of the circles. I've already cut out the circles that are going to be my mats behind these pieces. But the 2 that I'm going to cut out, I'm going to actually cut them out directly from my stand. Okay, that's not going to look right because that's going to be just plain there. So it needs, oh, I have a better idea. I have an idea, you guys. Heather, you're so smart. Let's do it that way. Oh, I'm a smart one. Okay. And I want them to be kind of close together because they're going to they may overlap a little bit, and that's okay. I'd rather that than have the mat, once they're matted, have them go off the edge of the piece of paper. So now, put this piece on there, and we're going to send it through. Thanks, Marcy. I love this stamp set too, Judy. It's so beautiful. And it's soft, you know. I love it. Okay. Okay. So here's what you get. There's our piece. Let's put the dies away before I, you know what, lose them. And I don't care too much about the big white spot there because we're going to have a banner over most of that, or some of it anyway, so it's not too big of a deal. Okay, now the way this technique works, try to explain it a little better than I did earlier, just to give you an idea. If the mat is only about that big, let's pretend it's just like that, and you lay it here and you line it up, see how it looks? It lines up perfectly, right? Because you cut it out of that image, and it looks really, really cool. I'm not as impressed with the bigger mat. See, you can get it to line up. So you get it to line up like that, and it's just not the same. It is what it is, right? Okay. So I'm just going to glue this down. Glue this one down. And I'm going to go ahead and mount this onto my piece of no, it's not Mango Melody. It's Melon Mambo. See, I always do that. This piece of Melon Mambo, by the way, is 4 by 5 1/4. And this white piece is 3 7/8 by 5 1/4, if I didn't mention that already. And now I'm just going to go ahead and put my adhesive on here. And lay it down as if it were a whole piece. Okay. And now I'm going to put dimensionals. This is trying to stick up. Put dimensionals on the backs. I like to do one in the center just so that the center doesn't sag. Okay, there's that one had a little bit of the backing, or this stuff still on it, so it didn't stick. You know what I say, show it who's boss. And so I did. So now we're going to put these ones on. as usual, this is probably way more dimensionals, you know, than what I actually need. But if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Okay, so now I'm going to tear off the backs of all 800 of these dimensionals. That's funny, Marcy. Hey, Teresa, welcome. You can always watch the replay, Teresa. Not a problem. I'm just glad that you joined us. You know, it's funny, Marcy, when you say that, because I all the time look at colors and say the wrong thing. Like balmy blue, I always want to call bliss blue because that was a light blue that we had 8,000 years ago. Okay, so now I want to line this up so that my leaf lines up and my flower lines up like that. Now I'm going to do the other one. Okay, line this one up so that those little leaves line up as they should. Looks like that will be good. Okay, so now I'm going to take my little tag here that I made, and I'm going to put some, I may want to have a dimensional, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to need a dimensional there, but I don't. Well, I might need one in that bottom corner. Okay, so use my little ones because I think I am going to want a little bit of dimensional right there, but you know, the rest of the card is going to, or the rest of the banner is propped up on these pieces that are already lifted up, so they don't need that, but I don't want it to sag in these areas that are not supported by these circles. Joyce, that is so funny. I love that you said delayed reaction. Yes, I did, and I still have a whole lot more. Because you figure every month, if I do 3 cards a week for you guys, I've also done my 3 the demo ones, you know, that I show you before I make this. So there's 6 cards a week. 4 weeks, that's 24 cards. Then if I do my paper pumpkin, that's another 10 cards at least, 10 to 12 cards. So we're looking at like 35 cards a week. It doesn't take long for 150 cards to build up. Okay. So now I'm just going to put this, see how this covers up that bald spot? And that's what I'm going to call that from now on. That is now forevermore called a bald spot when you have an area that, you know, is just white space and doesn't have stamps in it. That's your bald spot. Okay, then I'll show you the stamp I used. I used this stamp where it was 3 little flowers, and then there is a die that cuts them out individually. And I'm just going to glue these onto my card, onto the banner. A little bit of glue in the center there. Put one right about there. Got this teeny, teeny, tiny little one. There, whoops, it's still stuck to me. You stay there where you belong. Jackson, Marcy says you're hilarious. Marcy says you're hilarious. He said thank you. I told them about my note that you left on my door. Okay, so now I'm going to take some of my rhinestone basic jewels, and we're going to put these in the centers of our flowers. So for the big one, did I use a medium size? Hang on, I have to investigate for a moment. Yes, I did. Okay, so these come in 3 sizes. There's small, medium, and large. So I am using one of the little medium-sized ones on the largest flower right there. And then I'm using the teeny tiny little baby ones on the other two flowers. There we go. Oh, I guess I should have put that on my card before I did that, but that's okay. And then I have, okay, I kind of cheated here, you guys. This is some of my baker's twine that came from the baker's trio, I think it's called. And you can actually still purchase this trio pack in our clearance section of my website at heathersides.stampitup.net. So I guess it's not totally cheating because it is still available. But if you don't have this, you can just take white and color it with your garden green Stampin' Blend. But I don't have any white. I like the white a lot, which means I used mine a lot, and now I don't have any. Marcy wants to know if you've ever watched season 2 of American Vandal. He says he has not watched any of the seasons. Is that something he needs to watch, Marcy? Okay, so I tied my little bow, and I'm going to use a glue dot. Again, my glue dot is going to be bigger than the knot on my bow, so I'll just kind of scrunch it up a little bit, so it's like a little glue booger. That, I believe, is the technical term. Glue booger. Okay, and look at that. So pretty, and now we'll trim it. There, just like so. And there it is. We're going to put some adhesive on the back of this so we can stick it to the not the inside of the card. Let's try the outside of the card. Marcy says you should watch it. He says, okay. How is it that you tell him to do stuff and he says, okay, right off the bat? I tell him to do stuff and he either rolls his eyes or he says, okay, and then doesn't do it. Oh, he says it's because he likes you, Marcy. She says each season is a separate storyline, so you can watch one without the other. Okay, so there's the front of our card. Isn't that beautiful? But we still need to put the inside in because, you know, I forgot about that. Thanks, Teresa. And we're just going to put it in here. Get our margins to be relatively the same and straightish. Remember, we don't strive for perfection, we strive for ish. All right, look at that beautiful card, you guys. Ta-da! Another musical interlude for you. So, like I said, I'm sorry I only had 2 cards tonight, but let me clean up my mess. We'll take a look at them. If you liked what you saw tonight, if you had fun, go ahead and give me some thumbs up, some hearts, some likes. It strokes my ego, and it also speaks to the algorithm and tells the Facebook and the YouTubes that this might be something other people would enjoy and gets it out there for people. It helps me grow my business. It also helps me when you share my video. So when you do that, I really, really, really appreciate that. And then also, if you would like to purchase any of the things I used tonight or want to purchase anything out of the amazing catalog I was talking about, you can do that at my website, and I would love to earn your business. My website is heathersides.stampitup.net. If your order is under $150, please use this host code. That helps me to continue to provide these videos for free with prizes and all that good stuff. But if your order is over $150, please don't use the code. You will have some free goodies coming to you from Stampin' Up, and I want to make sure that you are the one who receives them. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, anything, be sure to let me know at stamphappenings@gmail.com or send me a private message here on Facebook. I'd love to hear from you guys. So here's our 2 cards we made tonight. Very different styles, but both very simple to do. So what one do you like the best? Judy says she likes the second one that we did. Susan says they're both fantastic. Marcy says they're both amazing. I did have fun making them, and I always have fun with you guys. This is the best part of my week. Again, if you need a catalog and you don't have a demonstrator that you're already working with, just let me know. I'm happy to send a catalog out to you. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next Wednesday here at facebook.com/stamphappenings. Have a good one.